Welcome back to SoCon Women's Basketball Media Day. I'm here with our first head coach of the day. The expectations are high for you here. I'm here with Matt Wise, first-year head coach at Samford. Matt, I just learned, you just told me this, that your wife is from Bloomington. You got married there, so I need to ask the big question. I'm obviously an IU student. I'm finishing up my last semester, so I got a little bit of time to explore. What's your favorite food spot in Bloomington? We're going to start off with it.
Okay, favorite spots in Bloomington.
Yeah.
We did actually the night before we got married.
Okay.
We had an event at Nick's.
Oh,
there
love Nick's,
may
yeah.
or may not have been a lot of Sink the Biz
I was
being
going to
played
say.
that night.
I was going to say.
Earlier that week, we did an event at Upland and kind of did the dining room there. But best spot, my favorite food is wings.
Yeah.
So Buffalo Louie's is the best.
It is.
Yes.
It's a great spot. Well, small world. We got to get you back to Bloomington here at some point soon, and we'll maybe play some Sink the Biz. Now,
I'm in.
We're setting it up now. But Matt, so obviously this is your first year as head coach at Samford, but you've been with the program for a few years. What was this transition like for you? What was the off season like?
Busy,
Yeah.
As you can imagine. But exciting and fun and blessed. I think a lot of it is based on the people around us, right? And so this group of players we have, this staff that we were able to put together, and a lot of it keep intact. The group of people across our campus, our administration, to our hallway is all the women's staffs, and they're all so successful and they're so generous with their time and advice and to lean on. So as far as the transition, while it was extremely busy, I wouldn't classify it as overly stressful, because while there were moments of high tension or things that we had to get done that might typically stress you out, when you can lean on really good people, it's not that bad.
What was your mindset, your plan of attack when you first, got elevated to head coach? Obviously, looking at it, yes, you lost a few players to the portal to some high major programs, but you were able to return a lot, not only, in this day and age when everyone kind of is switching spots, but for a first-year head coach, able to return a lot. What was kind of your plan of attack?
While Samford is an unbelievable spot in and of itself, it's gorgeous. The campus is beautiful. It's, like I said, really good people, but it's high academic, it's value driven, it's faith based. It has all these unbelievable qualities that sell itself. As far as recruiting people, and I mean recruiting our staff, but recruiting our current players to come back and not leave, recruiting our committed kids to stay committed, the next class. I think that people, they don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? And them hearing the passion, the energy, the enthusiasm, the care for people, like a people first program where we're trying to be transformational and not transactional, to a style of play and a belief system in the style of play of being tough, being gritty, but playing with confidence, playing with belief, and a love and a passion that I think that people, when they hear that is what they're excited to come be a part of. Yeah,
absolutely. And Emily Bowman is someone who, you wanted to get back, I'm sure. And she's someone who's been a big piece of this program, coming back for her senior year. Not only has she been so much fun to watch, but she's such a talented, kind of rare kind of player to have in this league. How important was it to get her back, and what have you seen from her this offseason?
Emily is unbelievable. First of all, this offseason she got married.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
So we had that transition for her and her family. And she absolutely is a huge part of what we do defensively.
Yes.
Yes, everybody sees the length and everybody sees the size.
But the size is rare. There's not many 6'5" kids in this.
But I promise you, what she does better than her size is her basketball intelligence defensively. Her understanding of pick and roll coverages, off ball coverages, her communication. She has such a savviness to her defense that I don't think people see, because people see her size and they expect production in the statistical categories. And some nights it does, some nights it doesn't. That's basketball. But every single night what she can do at the defensive end of the floor in terms of anchoring the entire thing, it's unbelievable. And she's such a hard worker and good person. She is such a joy to coach every single day.
So can we expect more of the same from her this year?
I think that for her, what she needs to bring for us to be successful is to just be herself. Yeah. She doesn't have to produce statistically, because like I said, that's not even what her superpower is. Right. So when she can just be the best version of her and truly, authentically, without any wavering, be herself, she'll be fine. Yeah,
awesome. And something that people might not know about you is that you're not the only coach in your family, right? Your mom, I'm a big volleyball fan. That's like my second favorite sport to watch, to cover. I love the Indiana team, but your mom is obviously a legendary volleyball coach. What kind of lessons did she instill in you about coaching that you've kind of taken and been able to use so far?
Yeah, it's great. Every morning I'm driving into work and I call my parents, and so we'll usually have a debate about, how are you going to handle the balance of workload on your players, or how are you preparing your players for practice, or are you preparing practice for your players? And okay, you have this person who went against a team rule. How are you handling the accountability factor with them? And so, yeah, I'm constantly leaning on them. But I will tell you this, as far as advice from my mom and going through this, I think the biggest piece of advice hasn't been coaching related. It's been parenting and spousal advice, is the ability and importance of being where your feet are, and that you don't have enough time to give to everybody. But with the time that you do have to give, you got to give the max that you got. And that is certainly how we were raised. That's been my experience with her. And so trying to then give that to my kids and my wife.
I love that. I'm sure it's super helpful to have, parents who are so knowledgeable about all this too, as you're kind of transitioning into this new role here. Is it like tough love they're giving you, or is it like, are you fighting in the car on these car rides, calling them? You're like, no, I want to do it this way, or is it?
Usually not. We maybe a couple disagreements. We did have a moment where she had given me advice and I went against it, but it wasn't.
What was the advice?
Not to run a player who got in trouble. Okay. And I didn't straight run the player, but we did a hard drill as a team. But what's great is the communication, the conversation afterwards is so much fun, because it's now like a debate of how do you think that worked? Well, what would you have done differently? And so like that part of it is so much fun.
You're like lawyers going back and forth at trial.
Literally. That is like family communication in our household.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, you were able to bring back players other than just Emily too, who obviously is such a big part of what you do, but you were able to bring back some others. Who has been, whether the most improved or really stuck out from the kids you're able to bring back, that you think will see a bigger role this year?
We have a fascinating dynamic on this roster where we have 4 seniors, right, and then we have a whole bunch of freshmen, and not a whole lot kind of in between. So that dynamic has been interesting. So of those older players that have come back, it has been awesome. We have 2 senior point guards with Sierra Godbold and Jada Knight, and their leadership and belief in our staff and in each other, and the way that they have led vocally and the way that they have set the tone has been fantastic. Emily Bowman's consistent work has been fantastic. Alyssa Tarpley is the 4th senior, and she's kind of been a linchpin of the program for 4 years now, as consistent as they come with attitude and effort. So that senior class has been huge for us. And then, we've got Aubrey Blankenship, who we were able to get to come back, and she shot 45% from 3 last year in conference play. Will she do it again? I don't know, because I think the scouting report's going to be out. But I got to tell you, the way she shot it in practice, I think she'll have a chance. And then this group of young players that we've been able to bring in a little from the portal, and a lot of freshmen, have really had a good start to practice. Now, you don't win games at this point, but I'm very pleased with where I see everybody right now.
What's the biggest strength as you see it with this group?
The biggest strength, I think, for this group has been their natural competitive intensity. I haven't felt the need to pull that out of them, which has allowed us in practice to work on details.
Right.
When you're not having to coach effort to the extreme or competitiveness to the extreme or toughness to the extreme, then you can focus on, more specific details within. And so that part has been fantastic. It is a group that is starting to buy into the defensive end of the floor. The only thing is the defense looks pretty bad when they shoot it as well as they've been shooting in practice.
Fair enough. Well, what are your goals for, obviously, year one? You've been here, you know this team, you know the school, you know what is possible here. What do you like about, Samford as a whole, and what do you hope to accomplish here in year one and past year one?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because you do have to have a vision of where you're trying to go. For a lot of these players, they do know me and they do know what we've established and they've been a part of it. But the catchword is culture, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's going to talk about. But I do buy Shaka's definition of culture being the way that we act, interact, and react. Mm-hmm. And that means that's not necessarily the drills we do, which could be similar or different. That's not necessarily the offense or defense we run, which could be similar or different. But the way that we act and interact and react is always going to be different because you've got new people. Right. And so that's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. And so for me, the goals are for us to establish our identity and culture as a program built on love, development, and growth and competing. Like that is where we want to hang our hat. You should be able to come watch us play with your eyes closed and say, wow, that team loves each other and they are tough and they compete. Or wow, you should come earmuffed and only watch us and think, wow, that team is loving and competing and growing all the time. To me, it's about establishing that core identity for us. And then the win-loss column will take care of itself.
How do you get there? How do you get your players to buy into that state of mind and get to that, I can come in earmuffed or whatever and just see it? How do you get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, your communication, your vocabulary, but also the way you carry yourself, like your belief system, right? That all goes into it. And so, we talk with our players a lot about most people in life. I'm going to get philosophical because I always do.
I heard you're a very philosophical guy. That's coming.
How about I like to read and listen a lot to smart people, but most people operate like this. They start with how they feel. That leads to how they think, which leads to their actions, which create their results, which give them new feelings. So I feel tired. I think I'm going to sleep in. I don't go get my workout in. Result is I'm lazy, which leads to my new feeling of I really don't want to go work out the next time. You get caught in the cycle. And we talk to our players about when you're talking about establishing an identity is the trick is to not start with how you feel or what you think. It's to start with the action. So despite how I feel, despite what I'm thinking, I can still choose my action.
I think I'm going to use this.
So I feel tired. I think I'm going to sleep in. I still get my tail up out of bed and go get my workout in, right? And so that is a large part of establishing the culture is fighting that human nature of how do people feel, what are they thinking, and instead get to the doing, get to the action for them.
No, this leads so well into my next question for you because a little birdie told me that you are like the biggest book nerd in the world, and all you do, you rattle off quotes, you have this great memory, you love science books, psychology books, whatever. I need to know what you're reading right now, what I need to be reading right now.
Okay, right now, we got a group of head coaches at Samford and assistants as well, and we're doing a book read together that is Lead for God's Sake. So we're reading that one. I'm also reading The Second Mountain when I get chances to read it.
Okay.
And then I'm listening to on audiobook. I had never read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'm working my way through.
3 going at the same time right now?
Yeah, 3 going.
How are we keeping track of all the different? How are we doing that? I see. I'm a 1 book at a time. And I'm a huge reader. Like, I'm always reading a book constantly, but I can't do the whole. I know people do 10 at a time.
That's not including the fiction that I read at night before I go to bed. Because if I read one of these other like thinking books as I go to bed, I don't sleep. The wheels are turning.
That makes sense. Well, I love it, and I hope it all translates to the team this year. I love the psychology behind it all. And really excited to see what you guys do and are able to achieve this year. So it was great talking to you, getting to know you, and we will be back in a few minutes with our next head coach.
Thanks for having me.